Hi, I'm Dave Spaulding, and I'd like to welcome you to Ruger's Tactical Tips. You know, as good as modern day firearms are, they're still mechanical devices, and like any machine, they're going to malfunction at some time or another. But if they do malfunction, with the double action revolver, it probably means a trip to the gunsmith. At the same time, I've seen modern day revolvers in demonstrations actually be thrown across the parking lot, driven over by a vehicle, picked up and fired. If you're shooting a revolver and you get a dead primer, which is really an ammo problem, all you've got to do is just pull the trigger, bring up the next round. You don't have to go through any kind of a malfunction clearance. So that's one of the things about the modern day revolver you don't have to worry about. With the modern day semi-automatic pistol, that is not the case. Because of all of the operating components and parts, the springs that have to load rounds into the chamber, reciprocate the slide back and forth, though they are extremely reliable in this day and age, they can still malfunction. My feeling is that most every malfunction, again except for the double feed, can be cleared with what's called a tap rack target, and it is a good one. The problem is how it's manipulated. First of all, you don't have that inversion that allows gravity to help you get all the garbage out of the chamber. You need to keep the ejection port clear. When you come up and top like this and you grab a hold of it, do you do that? Well, in my case, I've seen people actually induce double feeds because they block the ejected case from coming out with their hand. It goes back into the chamber, and now they got a worse problem than they had originally. So the way I teach this, I tap the bottom of the magazine, I invert the gun, clear the chamber, upright it, go back on target. I have found that process really does clear everything. Let's take this a step further. This technique right here will work with every semi-automatic pistol regardless of size. And let me show you what I'm talking about. Let's look at the Ruger LCP. Well, if we do have this gun for primary carry, and heaven forbid it malfunctions, and we tap and we rack, do you think that's going to clear the malfunction on a small pistol like that? I don't think so. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to tap, rack, and use that inverted technique anyway. So when I teach students to clear malfunctions, I have them tap, I have them invert the gun into my support hand, clearing the chamber of all the garbage, upright it, put it back in, clear the malfunction. Okay, now let's take a look at the other pistol malfunction, the dreaded double feed. What you've got here is a round that did not come out of the chamber and a round in the magazine that's trying to get in that chamber. This is a problem, and there's really no fast way to clear this. The thing is that when I talk about this procedure, you need to know if it'll work with your particular gun, and if it doesn't, then we're going to give you an alternative. Crap, double feed. What do you do now? You unload and reload the gun. You're going to push the magazine button and you're going to get a good grip on the magazine. But when you do that, you can strip it out. Now, that's the thing you need to know about your gun. Can you do that? At this point, how do you unload the gun? You got to clear the chamber. Invert it, clear it. If you want to do it a couple times, fine. But if you see all the garbage fall out, you know you got it. So we've cleared the double feed. All we got to do now is just basically reload the gun. We're back on target. Now, what if your particular brand of semi-automatic pistol, for whatever reason, does not allow you to strip the magazine out that way? Maybe you don't have enough floor plate to grab a hold of it, or it's just jammed up really bad. Well, then what you've got to do is you've got to lock it to the rear and then unload it, because that releases the pressure on the two rounds. Once you've released the pressure, it's just a matter of unloading and reloading the gun. So, don't make a big deal about the double feed. Understand what it is, understand that you can clear it, and like we've been talking about through all of Ruger's tactical tips, practice it.